gender is biological. This is something that's completely untrue within every single like medical consensus.
Well, then I will just say that anyone who suggests that gender has no reference whatsoever to biology, it's not connected in any way to biology, is just full of shit. Because if these
I just don't like what you're saying, okay? Because it's countering what I'm saying right now. So I'm just gonna go out there and come on. I have to debate, bro. You know, you've set me up, okay? This is like an easy alley oop. So what's gonna go on here? You're full of shit. So is the medical community. All of you. You're all shit. Every one of you. There's just shit all around. I shit on the wall, shit on the table, shit on the podium. I'm shitting myself right now. Alright, let's see Ben Shapiro destroy people.
People given the American Psychological Association, American Medical Association, American Psychoanalytic Association. I can go on for about 5 more associations that are very prominent and govern the existing like health government or health industries within like the major Western countries. And all of these associations have multiple thousands of doctors, sociologists, psychologists, and with PhDs in their respective fields backing the idea that sex and gender are different, effectively gaining the medical consensus for sex and gender being 2 different concepts, yet you have a different opinion.
Okay, so sex and gender are 2 different concepts, but gender is tied to biology.
Oh, he's grown. He's grown a little bit. You know, like 5 or 6 years ago, he wouldn't say that out loud. So he's learning. There's some progress. That's progress. That counts. I think that's a little bit of progress.
So one of the big problems that you see in sort of the argument in favor of trans rights is this notion that gender and sex are completely separable. They're not completely separable. If they are completely separable, then this means that identifying people by their subjective gender really has no relevance as to whether they are a male or a female. Male and female are biological.
Whoa. Whoa, what is happening, Ben? I think Ben is learning a little too rapidly. He's going to come full circle. It's going to horseshoe theory.
Logical terms. So using terminology like male and female to describe a
Yeah, he's close. He's close. He's getting there. He's close. I mean, this is a very different Ben than the Ben we saw on Joe Rogan. What was that, like 6 or 7 years ago? Where he was just like, I intentionally will never call someone by their preferred like pronouns. I will never do that because it's just it's against biology. All right, a he is a she, a she is a he. I'm never going to do that. All right, I intentionally always call people by their biological pronouns, and I will always do this. This is a little bit of progress. You know, there's been some growth. This could be the Overton window having shifted slightly.
Perception of maleness or femaleness is sort of a bizarre way of arguing whether a thing is a man or a woman. So here's my question. It's an argument that my friend Matt Walsh likes to make. What is a woman's...
Oof. Oof. There's a huge miss. You should never start a sentence with that. You should never start a sentence with, now here's something Matt Walsh thought or like as tweeted or posted or said out loud. Never use Matt Walsh.
Define what a woman is without reference to the word woman, please.
So this is actually a logical fallacy called a red herring. You're asking me a question in order to actually challenge my question without actually
No, it isn't. I'm saying
that
it really is not. I'm saying that biology, I'm agreeing with you that
Oh, I thought Ben would be all over that. I thought I'd be like, well, actually, logical fallacies, you have countered my logical fallacy by calling out the logical fallacy, which in turn could be proposed to be a logical fallacy itself. So, yeah, incongruent.
The notion of gender, which is effeminateness or masculinity, can be different from biology in the sense that biology is just pure male or pure female. But to suggest that there is such a thing as an effeminate male is not to suggest that an effeminate male is now a woman. Transgenderism makes the argument that if you believe that you are a woman, you are therefore a woman. Or if you believe that you are a man, you are therefore a man. I disagree with this. There are objective measures as to whether you're a man or a woman. There are objective measures as to whether you're male or female. There certainly is...
That would be a good time to ask, what are those objective measures, Ben? And I'm sure the first answer would be, well, birth, right? Birth, of course. The ability to have children. That's something we can all acknowledge. We all have mothers in one way or another. And then you can respond with a whole bunch of things. Well, what do you say about people who have experienced menopause, for example? What about people who are barren? What about people who are never able to give birth? What about people who have had hysterectomies? There's a lot of things there. Are they no longer women by definition? Does the biological essentialism of the birth giving suddenly remove that power? And what about trans men? Because I know if I showed Ben a whole bunch of trans men, he'd be like, "Wow, those are clearly men. You can tell they're muscular and strong, and they've got lots of hair, and they've got beards. They're clearly men. What is this? Are you trying to trick me or something here?" It's like, no, these are, as you would call them, biological women, Ben. But did you know that they can still give birth? Is this not putting into question this entire idea of biological essentialism? Is there perhaps no utility to doing it this way?
Spectrum when with regard to effeminateness versus masculinity. That's certainly true, but that does not change the underlying sexual dichotomy that is the basis for all human reproduction. Yeah, you can answer.
Right. So this dichotomy is a false dichotomy that isn't supported by any of the medical associations that I just named off.
Then let me
None
explain.
of the medical associations that I just named off would actually support the idea that gender is biological. This is something that's completely untrue within every single medical consensus.
Well, then I will just say that anyone who suggests that gender has no reference whatsoever to biology, it's not connected in any way to biology, is just full of shit. Because if these
I just don't like what you're saying, okay? Because it's countering what I'm saying right now. So I'm just gonna go out there and come on. I have to debate, bro. You've set me up, okay? This is like an easy alley oop. So what's gonna go on here? You're full of shit. So is the medical community. All of you. You're all shit. Every one of you. There's just shit all around. I shit on the wall, shit on the table, shit on the podium. I'm shitting myself right now.
And the reason and the reason that I say
then you actually just disagree with medical consensus within the
I
Western
disagree. Yes, I disagree with the false medical consensus driven by politically driven.
Hey, at least he painted himself into a corner here, but he's not backing down. He's definitely not like, well, your medical consensus is false, and I have other medical consensus that I can now reference or something. No, he's like, this is clearly false medical information, politically driven medical science. I love when they say this, by the way, because oh yes, there's no one richer than people in the social sciences, people in research when it comes to gender studies. Those are amongst the most wealthy individuals on the planet. Oof, yes, that's sweet ideological cash. Let it flow down onto me, the riches that have befallen me.
And quote-unquote doctors, if any doctor denies to me that there is a dichotomy between male and female, a sexual dichotomy between male and female, they are ignorant, and they are letting their politics get in the way of their science. Anybody who suggests to you that there is such a thing, for example, as a
But maybe you're not a scientist, Ben. I mean, maybe you just have a certain, I don't know, bigotry, and you want to justify it. And when people say, well, that actually doesn't line up with our understanding of the known universe, he's going to be like, well, then you're politically driven. All of you. Every single one. What? There's a consensus? There's meta-studies? Then all of them. They're all politically driven. They don't understand me, okay? This is about me. Ultimately, it is. This is about Ben.
Pregnant male is not a doctor, they are an activist.
I'm very glad that none of these opinions are actually accepted in academia and haven't been for over 70 years. Sent this here on Twitter.
Okay, so the notion that they haven't been accepted for over 70 years is a bizarre one, considering they were accepted until about 5 minutes ago. And the basic idea that...
Wow. Oh, man. I can't believe people used to fall for this. I can't believe it. This was the bread and butter of right-wingers on YouTube for such a long time. The college eviscerations, destroyed by facts and logic in the marketplace of ideas. Look at Ben Shapiro with another own. All it is when you're actually presented with, I don't know, facts, and, they aren't congruent with your feelings. All of a sudden, it's just like, well, you just got destroyed. Destroyed. Wrecked. Children, is that what they say? Wrecked? Yes, wrecked. Everyone just starts applauding. 255 AD, I walked 13K today. Congratulations. That is a very long time to walk. Metal Luna, watched your documentary. Loved the Zardos references. Thank you. I didn't know how to interrupt something awkwardly, and then I thought, why not Zardos? It's been a while. We haven't referenced Zardos in a while. And hey, it seems to be a mantra these days. The gun is good. Yeah. Left out the link to last tweet. This is the person in the audience. Sorry to spoil it. Oh, I'm well aware of who she is. That doesn't change the fact that, like, Ben Shapiro is woefully incorrect here.
Male and female do not exist runs counter to all mammalian biology, all of it, not just human. Are we to suggest that gender and sex are different in walruses? How does this work exactly? Like, are they...
He's so out of his depth. It's unbelievable. I mean, hey, back in the day, they would just retreat like calmly to say the lobster and the hierarchy of the lobster. But now we got walrus theory. I'm here for walrus theory, Ben. Lay it on me.
They different in bears? Anytime you have all mammalian reproduction is rooted in the idea that there's a sexual dichotomy between male and female. To obscure that with all sorts of semantic word games about how you feel.
So, what do walruses tell each other when they're, you know, in the wild? How do they communicate about these kind of things? How do they express, you know, their gender? Do they walk up to each other and go, hi, I'm a male walrus, and then one of them says, I'm a female walrus, and then they're like, yeah, we know, because at the end of the day, there's absolutely nothing strange about this relationship, and we only, you know, respect this, you know, binary gender ideology, and then this is just how we're going to do it. Or do they just not speak because they're fucking walruses, and the concept of gender is kind of obscure to someone who doesn't have that? Like, it's the same thing. Like, I was in the dog park, like, I think 2 months ago, and when you own a dog, by the way, you go to the dog park. Part of this is you have to speak to a lot of strangers. I'm, contrary to what you may believe, not someone who often engages in conversations with strangers just randomly on the street. I'm just not walking around being like, hey, who wants small talk? I got small talk here. But you'll often talk about the same things every time. It's like, oh, where's your dog from? What breed is it? Oh, that's so cool. I'm going to tell you my dog, my breed. And it's, to be honest, in terms of small talk, it's a lot more pleasant than normal small talk. Normal small talk is just kind of awkward, but it's just like, you know, the dance. But I was having a conversation with someone, and they were having a conversation with someone else at the other time too, and then they started talking about dogs and stuff, and then they kept on talking, and then they started talking about dog genders, because someone was like, what is your dog? Is it a he or she? And it's like, well, it's certainly not a they. At which point I was like, excuse me? And he was like, yeah, it's a man. It's a man dog, you know? And I was just like, well, yeah, but like, you understand that dogs don't speak English. They don't have language. Like, these are human concepts. These are things that we have created, as we have also created gender. Like, yeah, you might be right. You don't often come across a they dog. It wouldn't really matter if you want to do that. That's really up to the person referencing the dog. But at the end of the day, they also don't speak English. It's very weird to pivot to this kind of like biological essentialism argument in the animal kingdom now. Like, people used to do that for homosexuality, by the way. They used to say, like, well, it's unnatural. It's unnatural for humans to make love to the same gender, you know. There'll be no procreation, you know. Lesbians cannot have children, and gay men cannot have children, and so, therefore, if you see in the animal kingdom, they do not engage in such degenerate behavior. And then all of a sudden, you're like, oh, yes, they do. Oh yeah, animals are gay as fuck, son. Are you kidding me? Oh, you have so much to learn about the animal kingdom. Oh, they real gay. Yeah, they real gay. They get big old gay with it.
Objectively has no bearing on whether male and female are categories that exist. And if you're trying to define male and female with reference to any subjective category that cannot be identified by any metric whatsoever other than how you feel today, I challenge whether that is scientific or whether that is merely a self-perception that is being guided by a political agenda.
Self-report. That's all this is, because this is exactly what's happening. You're being told that the majority of the scientific community has demonstrated one thing. You are in opposition to that. So you are being politically driven to make statements that they are in fact incorrect. I am the one who is right, so saith the walrus, and that's all there is to it. End of story.
I'm sorry, I could spend more time on this, but we have to get to the next question. I appreciate it.
Yeah. And also, you have been wrecked and bodied, destroyed in the marketplace of ideas. No more time.
This will come down to who can deliver the lower propensity and mid propensity voters.
gods, Xander Corvus and Peyton L. Just, we will build a ladder to heaven to deliver you the daily news. To our monarch, Tom Spiker, we are your most humble of clownish jesters. To our lords, Trevor R. and Alexander Thaler, you have our undying fealty. To our knights of the Round Table, Nate, that one guy, Hagbird Celine, Matthew Scarborough, Stellar Vision, Ariana McCarthy, Daniel Sutton, Ants Are Still Running the World, Coulter Smith, Tom Groh, Val 9000, Jenna Tal, Quiet 185, Anna Loves Riley, Riley and Anna, Omni, Poodlehawk, The Tim Caucus, Multimondi, Trevor Janis, Lemmy 101, Anthropophojack, Saren 42, Chronic to Hemphog, Catherine, Radical Maniac, Ramon Acosta, Incosin, Violent Orchard, Sophie Baby, Political Puppy, Andreas Chiringuito, Zach Christensen, Josh Mickelson, Todd Buckingham, and Todd Lajeunesse. We shall meet you in the tavern, and we raise a drink, and we salute you.